What is up, my good people of the internet? Happy to be here hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. I hope you're having yourselves a fantastic morning this morning, and you are just having yourselves a great week. We're going to keep that week going. If it's going great for you, we're going to keep it going great. If it's going, más o menos, we're going to make it better. So I hope you're definitely ready for an awesome show today. We got some great guests coming up on the broadcast. You know it's Wednesday, which means it's Dolphin time, and Dolphin time brings you every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We bring you the Moyne College Dolphins. The Dolphins coming to you here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, right around there. So we appreciate your patience today, as we will be featuring this morning an awesome Dolphin Dive conversation featuring Jaro Zawislan. And like I had said before, if Jaro continues to come on the show at the rate that he's been coming on lately, we're going to have to get him residency here. So I'm excited about the opportunity to share this moment with you and have some fun here this morning, as Jaro will be joining me for an all-new Dolphin Dive in our conversation following the team's historic first-ever Division I victory. And that came on the road against Niagara, scoring the final 3 goals of the game to get the victory 3-2. The game featured the first goal ever scored with Moyne as a Division I women's soccer program, the first assist to a goal, and the first game-winning goal, as well as the first overall victory. So, a lot of great stuff, a lot of history being made on the road for Moyne, and I'll be talking about that with Jaro Zawislan, as well as the road of the first 3 games and how this team was excelling, progressing, getting better from Game 1 against the University of Maine to Game 2 against Iona to Game 3 in the victory over Niagara on the road in a New York State non-conference matchup. So Jaro and I will be talking about that momentarily. Then we'll jump into my conversation with Brady Denaburg. Brady Denaburg, the kicker for the Syracuse Orange, came on last season as a true freshman. You got to know him here on Wake Up Call, as he allowed us to be his exclusive home for his recruitment, as well as his exclusive home for when he got an offer from Syracuse, his exclusive home on when he visited Syracuse, his exclusive home when he committed to Syracuse, and the exclusive home of being able to share his story once he signed. So we got to do a lot of exclusives, a lot of firsts with Brady Denaburg, thanks to Nate Trout, his mentor and Syracuse kicker alum, who helped to make all of it possible. Shout out to Merritt Island, and thank you for the opportunity to connect with you as well. And looking forward to connecting with more of your student athletes as time goes by. So just a great experience with Brady throughout his entire process. And as that process continues, he's not only become the starting kicker on the team for kickoffs, which he did last year, but now also field goals and extra points. Brady Denaburg is now, on top of all of that, the captain representing the entire special teams unit at Syracuse. So Brady and I will be sharing our conversation here right at the bottom of hour number 1. And in hour number 2, it is back. That's right, folks. For many, many years on Wednesdays from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Wake Up Call has brought you fantasy football. And it is now time to call it something new, something exciting. And, you know, the 3 F's, F cubed, if you will, fantasy football in focus, will be coming to you every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, all throughout the season, and that starts today. So a lot of great stuff coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. We'll take a quick step aside for a fast break. We'll be back with the Dolphin Dive featuring Jaro Zawislan and focusing on Moyne women's soccer, and a very monumental day for Moyne as a Division I institution in general.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare it to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you know, on Wednesdays, it's Dolphin Time, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni, as well as our monthly sit-downs with Athletics Director Bob Beretta. I am here with the Moyne Dolphins women's soccer head coach, Jaro Zawislan, here with me once again. He's making himself a repeat guest here on the show. We've had him 3 times in the last couple weeks, and all for good reason. The women's soccer team got to kick off Division I for Lemoyne, and then from there we got to speak coming off of that first game and first experience. And now, only 3 games into being a Division I program, Lemoyne women's soccer has a victory already early on here in the Division I move. So a lot to celebrate, a lot to be excited about. Jaro, how are you today?
We're doing very well today. Everybody individually and as a program, as athletic department, we are definitely enjoying this moment for a day, and then in the meantime getting ready for the next game this Thursday.
You know, and in the celebration of this moment, did you let yourself feel it at all when the final whistle blew on the road at Niagara? Did you let yourself personally feel the victory for a second? Did you take maybe a deep breath on the sideline, or before you stepped out to shake hands with the other coach, did you kind of just take a moment to stand there? Did you give yourself that moment?
It was a great feeling for our student athletes and coaching staff and the athletic trainer and everybody associated with the women's program, athletic department, and Lemoyne College in general, because we had a great support in the stands, even though there was a away game. Being able to be part of the coaching staff that provides that opportunity, puts the student athletes in the best position possible to succeed. That's the reward in itself. The most important thing is seeing those smiles on the student athletes' faces, celebrating the accomplishment yesterday. That's the joy in itself. Result, that's something that is outcome of their hard work, of their improvement day to day, from training session to training session, from game to game, and being coached at this level. That's what we strive for. Our job is to put the student athletes in the best possible position to succeed, provide them with the environment and platform to do so, and that's the reward in itself. The result is for our student athletes. That's for our institution to celebrate from coaching point of view. That was the greatest reward, seeing the smiles, celebration, happiness in our student faces, feeling that sense of the accomplishment.
Yeah, and for you, I mean, to see this, win come to fruition in the first 3 games of being a Division I program for women's soccer, just what that means to you, that this win was able to come so early on in the season in non-conference play.
As a program, as a team, we always step on the field with the goal of striving for positive results. We don't play for ties, but tie on the road, win. I mean, that's a positive result, and the great effort, execution of the plays, the ball, staying focused through the last play of the game. Players put themselves in position to get the positive result on the road yesterday. Would it be a tie or win in the last 2 minutes of the game? That's always the goal. Of course, it's not lost on us that since last season, even before the announcement about the reclassification, our goal was initially to close the gap with the very good teams and N10, Division II soccer teams and N10. Now, with the announcement of the reclassification to Division I, that goal of our team went up to another 2-3 levels higher. So that was task in itself. We've been racing against the time to keep improving at such a rate so we can close the gap. And through the preseason and through first 3 games, the significant improvement have been noticeable individually as players and as a group. This group of student athletes is improving from one training session to the next one, from one game to another. Every day we see improvement in this group, and there's always that question: are we going to improve enough to put ourselves in the best possible position to get result out of the next game? And in spite of adversity, of being on the road, giving up 2 goals in the first half, which we never want to do it, but that's what happened. We felt that from the first play of the game, that was our best performance to date. And as a team, we felt we were always in this game. We have that saying that the game is never over and the game is never out of reach. It doesn't matter how many goals you lead the game by, the game is never over until that final whistle blows. But also the game is never out of reach, no matter how many goals you are behind, especially in college soccer, where every time you score a goal there is a stoppage of the time, and in a matter of minutes or even seconds you can change the momentum and outcome of the scoreboard. So our team stayed focused, never gave up. We had a great finish to the first half with 2 beautifully executed plays, and then in the second half we were under significant amount of pressure. There was a series of the corner kicks that we had to absorb. But by the end of the game, with a couple of good possession sequences, we were in position not only to get a tie out of this game, but actually with the well-executed play, good service, and great finish, we were able to score that late goal. And that feeling of another extreme, because on Thursday before, soccer game was pretty cruel to us, with giving up the goal with 17 seconds left. On Sunday, everybody felt like soccer is the most beautiful game out there, with scoring the game-winning goal on the side of the last 2 minutes. The celebration, the emotion, all the parents, family, friends, celebrating with the players, all the fans. It was definitely a special moment for the women's soccer players, for the athletic department, for the college itself.
Coming here on this edition of Dolphin Dive, exclusive to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, featuring Jaro Zawislan, the head coach of the Moyne Dolphins women's soccer team, following their first victory as a Division I institution. Jaro, you made mention of it, how cruel the game was a game before, but we've seen this team in just 3 games show that improvement. Having that first game where, you're on the road at the University of Maine, and the game, you obviously never quit. We talked about it coming out of it, but 5-0. Then you come within a goal against Iona, and then you get this victory against Niagara. What's happening in these first couple games that you feel like was setting this team up to get a victory? You say that you've been seeing improvements, and there's a bunch of things that you've been able to take away. What are those things that you've been taking away? Why did this team take 2 losses and turn it into a victory?
It's been a process, and again, some things happened that were totally out of women's soccer programs control, athletic department's control, and institutions control, with the announcement in May with the reclassification. We haven't had a preseason game. That's one of the things where our first game, official game as Division I women's soccer program, was our first game this August. So that's something that it's nobody's fault. It's just there was no teams to play in the preseason. Division II, Division III schedule of the preseason games. Preseasons, when they start, wasn't just conducive to play any preseason games before our game on August 17th. And pretty much all the Division I teams were already booked up with their preseason games. So we were walking into the game without playing outside opponent. We did our best to recreate the situation in our preseason training sessions. To create a lot of 11v11 situations. But it's not the same as playing outside opponent, especially at Division I level. So credit to our players. They walk into that game, and during that game, people were able to see the improvement from the beginning of the first half to the game. Going into the second game, we had 6 days to improve, to analyze video, to keep improving the things on the field, and prepare ourselves for the second game. Our defending got better, but we still felt after Iona game that there was still a lot of room to improve, especially when we would transition to the attack, transition to the possession. And we improved on that part by the time of the Niagara game. And that showed, because when you become better team in possession, then not only you take away opportunities for the other team to have extra attacking sequences, but then you create opportunities for yourself to not only to create goal scoring opportunities, but win the game by scoring a late goal, just like happened against Niagara. So there's a lot of work to be done, but the team is progressing, and we know that by the time of the kickoff on Thursday, we will have to be that much better team by those another 3 days of training and preparation.
teams talk about, having to get better, learning from the losses, learning from the victories. Where's the growth going to come in? Where's the production? We hear everybody talk about it, but it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to do it. Why are these student athletes so good at letting that loss kind of die and not letting it follow them, and then making those improvements, like to get deeper into your team and into this season squad? Why are they just really honestly good at letting go and at the same time getting better immediately? I mean, it's not every team that can bounce back after a loss a few days later and find a way to get a victory. Why is this specific team showing us their ability to not only bounce back but to get better? Because it's hard to get better quick, and they're showing that they can do that.
Yes, so definitely credit to each individual player. Speaks volumes to their character, speaks volumes to their upbringing, family upbringing, and the type of the character that Lemoyne College student athlete presents out there. Within the program, we always talk about not getting too high on highs of the successes and not getting too low on adversities or losses. Yeah, we analyzed the game against Iona. We had a few days to improve on certain aspects of the game that, like I mentioned, will be ongoing process through the whole season. But we are able to improve enough to, again, put ourselves in the position to succeed. And there is a huge credit that goes to our student athletes who are able to get that Thursday Iona loss analyzed, but also out of the system. By the first play against Niagara, we were ready. We know the game starts again fresh with 0-0 score on the scoreboard, and whatever we get out of the game, that will have to be earned. And we had a very good start to the game. We continue with the quality throughout the game. The adversities happen, but the team just kept playing through it. And if the team puts enough positive plays on both sides of the ball, and stay focused, and the work rate is maintained through the whole game, then the positive result is always a possibility there.
Yeah, and seeing this game, the last three, not only did you win 3-2, but Lemoyne scored the last 3 goals of the game. Like you said, going down 2-0 early on, and then scoring the last 3. Just what you could say to that piece of it. I mean, after game 1, you and I spoke about this team never quits. This is a part of our daily mantra of our program, is that there's no game we're going to lay down in no matter what the score is. But your team not only took those moments of strife in the first 2 games and made something positive about it in game number 3, but they stayed with it. And to score 3 goals in a game is difficult. To score 3 in a row when you're down 2-0 is, to some teams, something that you don't see happen a lot. What can you say about the specific game at Niagara and your team not only finally getting to see what it's like for the ball to get into the net a few times, but to do it 3-0 to end the game?
Yes, the game of soccer is the game of momentum shifts, the game of ups and downs, peaks and valleys. And individually and as a group, we know that in the time where momentum is against us, the other team has all the momentum, all the set pieces. We have to work through it, not just absorb through it, get through it, and shift that momentum. We know that there will be shifts in the game, and you try to carry that your positive part of momentum as long as possible. We felt that throughout the game, we never were out of the game. There was that confidence in the team's ability to be in the game, to stay in the game, and be able to generate enough goal scoring opportunities to get back that first goal. And then the second goal came in very quickly. The players, they executed well the set piece. For the first goal, the second goal came from the high press, repossession of the ball in attacking third, and well executed sequence with beautiful cross and run at the far post. So again, it goes to the credit of the players that just stay focused on the next play, because that's the most important play of the game, because it is the next play. It doesn't matter if you're on defending side of the things or you're in possession and you have attacking sequence. Just like with the game, the next game is the most important game of the season, because this is the next game. So today, yesterday and today, we enjoyed that moment. We got through the video session, we got through the training session, and strength conditioning part with Coach Ben. But we know by the end of today, this game should be out of our system, and we are fully focused on the next opponent, which is a very good team, Binghamton.
You know, and like you said, you know, being able to watch this and you know, look back at the film and enjoy it. Do you feel like there's a weight lifted off of the shoulders of your team now? I mean, as much as we've seen their maturity early on, and we've seen their professionalism and how they've handled, you know, these games and not given up in those first two losses that they had to endure to get to where they are today. Did you see any moment of just exhaling the breath that they inhaled at the beginning of the season?
Definitely, winning helps a lot, right? And serves almost that extra energy, extra spring in the step of the players. It's definitely very positive. There's no negativity in winning. When you lose a game, you don't want that to become a streak or long streak. You want to end that as soon as possible. So definitely internally, players, they were not looking at the reclassification process and saying, okay, now we are playing Division One. We're just trying to close the gap with the quality schools in Division Two, and arguably the best conference in Division Two women's soccer, which NE10 was. And now we have to face Division One schools, another level. They weren't using this as an excuse or explanation for first couple of losses. But to get to the point where you get the result early in the season, that's very significant and very important. It's almost a reclassification process that's nice on the paper. You become Division One women's soccer program, Division One athletic department. But there is something about winning that first game at that level that kind of solidifies that position, that kind of title of being Division One sport, right? Until you win that first game, are you just that program? Are you just that student athlete on the paper that you're participating, or actually you just prove that you belong to be at that level? You actually belong in that environment. Not only you belong, but you are actually true Division One athlete that not only competes and hangs in there with that level of student athletes, but actually has success and comes out with the positive results. So we never wanted to talk about that leading to the games and leading to that first win, but we had that little bit of a talk after the game where, you know what, you just prove that you belong at this level. You just prove that you are truly Division One student athlete here by accomplishing something that hasn't been accomplished in the history of Division One Le Moyne women's soccer team, winning that first game.
You know, and here with Jaro Zawislan in this edition of Dolphin Dive, before I let you go, the Moyne Dolphins women's soccer head coach, following their first ever victory as a Division I program. You and I spoke about defense a couple times going into this conversation today, and your defense did not allow Niagara's team, the Purple Eagles, to take a shot in the final minute 30 with an attempt to tie the game. Just what you could say about your defense's evolution from game 1 to game 2 to game 3, because I know that was an emphasis for you and you wanted to see more from your defense after that game against Maine, and here we are in a victory against Niagara where the last minute 30 they don't have a shot because of your defense. Just what you could say about that.
There've been a lot of teachable, coachable moments in the first 2 games, and credit to our players that the progress has been made in specific areas. One of the things that we've been emphasizing even before the first official game about not taking any plays off, because we don't know when that decisive goal or when the decisive play that wins the game or ties the game can come in. Could come in from the kickoff right at the beginning of the game. Could come in with the seconds left. And that's been true in the first 3 games. You never know when those decisive moments in the soccer game can come. That's the beauty of the game of soccer. It's so unpredictable. And that's something that in the game 3, we were able to manage the last part of the game with the lead and Niagara pressing for the equalizer. That's something we are proud of the players, that evolution of the team and the progress of the team has been happening to the point where, we can manage those situations better and better with every passing game.
We have, with this victory, not only the win that goes down as the first ever in program history as a Division I team, but also we have the first ever goal scored for Lemoyne women's soccer in Division I by Jenica Brown, and we have the first assist, and we have a bunch of things to celebrate here. So first goal scored, first assisted goal, and then obviously 3 different players scoring in this game. Did you do anything to celebrate that? And what can you say about the women that either assisted or scored the goals in this game? Because in the first 2 games, 5-0, 1-0, waiting to see the ball go through the net for the first time, and we saw it go through the first time, the second time, and the third. So was there any celebration after the game individually, or any message or note to these players as they made history for Lemoyne?
Well, to say that we didn't celebrate those certain historic moments, it would be stating the truth, because when those things happen, everybody knew what just happened on the field and in the bench area of the field. We did celebrate it very quickly. We acknowledged that. Everybody realized that was the first goal in the history of women's soccer Division I level, first assist, first game-winning goal, all that stuff. But that was very quick and very momentary. By the time the ball got back to the center circle, we had to be ready for the next play. So there was a very quick acknowledgement of that event, or of those events. Everybody knew what has happened, everybody celebrated, but there was a time limit on it. The game of soccer doesn't allow you to call the timeout. You just have to use the time of the ball being put back in the center circle and the referee blowing the whistle for the next play to finish celebration and focus on the next play. And we are very happy for the individuals who wrote their names in the history books, but also very important is the outcome of the team effort. The goals, assists, shoutouts, on the statistics, they're assigned to the specific players, specific names, and we are very proud of them, but that's direct outcome of the whole team effort. So everybody in the program should be proud of those accomplishments, and they are truly part of the team wins and goals and assists and shoutouts. That's how the game of soccer is a team sport.
So we move forward 2 out of the first 3 games have been against teams in the state of New York, in Iona and Niagara. The next one up, like you mentioned, Binghamton. What does that mean to you, as you and I have spoken about non-conference play before, the fact that you get to see different teams in the state of New York can create some rivalries, some fun for obviously fans and supporters? What does it mean to you? Because I know it's the the next game ahead of you, the next game's in front. But when you look at the schedule and you see a bunch of New York teams and 3 in a row in this scenario of Iona, Niagara, and at Binghamton this week on Thursday, August 31st at 6 p.m., does that have any special meaning to you that you're trying to create these opportunities non-conference with teams within the state of New York?
It is very important for a few reasons. First of all, we don't mind traveling out of state, out of region, but with the quality and the quantity of the teams that are in the state of New York, and here even within 2 to 3 hour, 4 hour radius of driving, it wouldn't be practical and even logical and smart not to schedule the opponents closer by. Yeah, that creates nice rivalry. The families, the students can follow the team even at the away games. There's a lot of positives from playing the teams that are closer by. I mean, logistically, that makes it better. You have a quality opponents here. Once the classes start, like they did today, there's less wear and tear on the student athletes with the demanding travel schedule. We already travel extensively for our conference games. 10 games, 5 home, 5 away. We're already covering a lot of Northeast region with our away games in the conference. And we were just talking with athletic director Bob about how nice it is to have the quantity, but also the quantity of quality of high-level women's soccer teams here within 2-3, no more than 4-hour driving distance. So the first year with the May announcement, there was a little bit of a scramble to put that schedule together on the short notice, and it worked out nicely with regards to how many schools closer to us we were able to schedule. But within the next 3 to 4 years, we should be well positioned to have a very good footprint here in upstate New York with a lot of quality schools within the driving distance, and that's the goal, because if you have high enough, quality enough opposition, why to travel far away? Yeah, there could be some special trips happening here and there. We would do it for the reasons of recruiting and exposing our student athletes to different parts of the country, and also getting the Moyne College name out there. But practicality of scheduling the teams closer by, especially with the number of them and the quality of those programs, allows us to schedule out of conference schedule the schools within reasonable driving distance, and we look forward to building that schedule over the next 2-3 years as we are settling into the little bit more of a routine with and the working relationships with the particular programs.
Yeah, and in a note here before I let you go, Jaro, looking at, I mean, obviously Binghamton's coming up here next, but after that we'll get to see finally, and I know fans are really excited about this, we will get to see the women's soccer team in their first ever Division I home match, which will be this Sunday, September 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Time against the University of Rhode Island. So I know we're very excited about that. I know you're focused on Binghamton, but it's going to be good to have the team at home for the first time this season.
Thank you very much for mentioning this game. Yes, we are fully focused on Thursday. However, that first home game, again, history to be made. First Division I women's soccer game at home game at Moyne College. There's a lot of buzz about that game. lot of support coming from soccer community. We'll have some youth teams, youth groups coming in, some school groups coming in, taking the tour of the campus earlier in the day, and then stopping by at the game at 1:00 to make the educational, academic type of the trip. We're looking forward to the beautiful day. Weather should cooperate. Quality opponent, quality game on the field, and a lot of people in the stands. We greatly appreciate the support they've been getting on the road. We hope to fill the stands for this game. Let's keep spreading the word. Our student athletes are working hard to provide fans with the entertaining game on Sunday. We hope that the soccer community will turn out. Not just soccer community, but general community is going to turn out in great numbers to support our student athletes for this first historic home game for women's soccer at Division I level.
Yep, and a lot to be excited about coming off of that first win already in Division I, just 3 games into being a Division I program, saying a lot about your student athletes, your coaching staff, your strength and conditioning, your plan, your film watching, and everything that you have that went into this season to make this possible to already show Division I that you belong. And speaking of belonging, Jaro, if you come on the show a couple more times over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to have to send you a lease agreement because you've been here for a lot.
We're joking around the athletic department that maybe we need to set up a special segment, right?
Yeah, I feel like at this point we should just call it On the Pitch with Jaro and call it a day. So,
well, we appreciate everything you do for coverage of women's soccer and all the athletic department, Le Moyne College sports. Your help and support cannot be underestimated, and we greatly appreciate everything you do.
Well, it means a lot to me, and happy to be along for the ride, and I was ecstatic to see that victory happen. So just know that I had some phone calls that I made after that, and I had some excitement, and I looked up to God and put my fist in the air. So just know that I was celebrating with you, and I look forward to plenty more to come, especially what's coming up here this week and obviously at home. So thanks as always, Jaro, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day, and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. They can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of Where Sports Meets Life, every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I am always honored and privileged to bring you content that you won't find anywhere else. Even if they've done interviews elsewhere, it's never like it is on Wake Up Call, and that's because we build bonds and we care about the people that we bring on here, and it's purposeful every single time. Brady Denaburg is exactly what I'm describing here, as I've known him for the past few years, followed him throughout his recruitment, from his opportunities on the recruiting trail to his visiting of Syracuse, to his commitment to Syracuse, to signing with Syracuse, and now being named the starting kicker for the Syracuse Orange. Brady Denaburg here with me on Wake Up Call, and this one is awesome because from Merritt Island to everything on the trail, like I said, to right here, means a lot, seeing somebody who's a good person coming from a good family be successful. Brady, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. And, it's funny because I think you and I have gotten to a point where I can't go to camp without bumping into you on the way into camp. We did that the first day that we were allowed to go to camp for the media. I saw you, and we had done everything virtually through the recruitment process. So it was the first time we got to meet in person. And then this season, toward the end of camp, I got to see you as I was walking in almost the exact same spot. So do you feel like that's like a rite of passage for camp now, is that you and I have to bump into each other at some point?
Yeah, I guess so.
So bring me into last season. Obviously, you got to get out there and offer us some talents on the kickoff. People got to see you as a true freshman. What did you take away from last year?
I think it was a really good building year for me, just to get used to
life like in college
and life like as just a kicker, going through all the different things. And college is a lot different than high school in many different ways. So I think that it just gave me a year to learn a lot of new things.
And Andre Schmidt was obviously there for one more season. What did you take away from Andre? What did he teach you? How did you kind of be a sponge to the season that you had with him?
Even everything he taught me, everything that I do now is all the things that he's taught me, little tiny things that nobody really thinks about. But even just watching him and soaking up what he does with just seeing how he goes throughout his day, how he warms up, all the little things that he didn't come right out and say, that he wouldn't really tell everyone, but like I could just tell that he did. And I think that all the stuff that he did and he told me really helped me a lot.
Why do you feel like Dino Babers and the staff, as a true freshman, gave you an opportunity? What were you doing in practice and overall that you feel like got you on the field in your first season at Syracuse?
I think originally I was just supposed to redshirt, so I wasn't really looking for anything or to do anything. I was honestly happy with my position as just being a redshirt and going through it. But as soon as we saw a place where I could help out the team, I think that they just put me there and it kind of stuck.
And for you to be on kickoff, it got to a point where we're watching it and you're just kicking it through the end zone over and over again, just like clockwork. And the thing that was cool for me is that in press boxes, people are like, hey, your boy did it again. So I mean, what can you say about your kickoff game and your consistency of really not giving many opportunities for teams to return the ball?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan. So hopefully I can keep kicking the ball to the end zone and not really have to worry about that as much, and also kick the ball to the uprights.
And now that you have that, with Andre Schmidt finishing his time at Syracuse and you being involved on kickoff, now we're going to see you as the kicker on kickoff, as well as when those opportunities come up for extra points and field goals. What can you say about this moment for you? Because you're a true sophomore, you've been in school for a season and some change, and you're the starting kicker of the Syracuse Orange inside of the ACC. I mean, it's a big opportunity for anybody at any time. You're getting it with plenty of years left in eligibility.
Yeah, I think this is the reason why I came here. I came here looking forward to this spot, this time, and just to do what I can do and help the team out. I think it's just what I've always wanted to do. That's why I came here.
Why do you think you were put in this position, Chad? Because obviously you have to work for it, right? It's not something that just comes to you. Why do you feel like we're here? I mean, this was a prediction of mine. I said, all right, he's going to learn under Andre. Andre's going to finish up, and it's going to be Brady's job to lose. He's going to become the starting kicker, and we're going to get to see him for years. That was my anticipation. Why do you think it actually happened?
Honestly, all glory to God. I wouldn't do it without him. But I think just this past year, I've just kept my head down and worked. And even last season, I just, come in early mornings, late nights, just working to get where I'm at.
And like you said all glory to God. I mean, your faith, it's something that you're unafraid to talk about and obviously share, and I respect that and appreciate that because I'm the same way. What can you say about the role of God in your life and how you lean on that when obviously you need to?
Yeah, so when I first really got here, I mean, I'm the number 4 for my family. I'm kind of a mama's boy, so when I got here, and it was hard. It wasn't easy to come over here alone, come up here alone, and I think I really leaned into God, and my faith with Him grew a lot, and my relationship with God grew a lot more, and it's just amazing what has happened. Just trusting Him.
How would you describe that? Like putting your faith in God and then seeing what that does. How would you describe that in your life?
I just honestly just at a loss of words of where I'm at because of him and what he's done. I just trust him in everything I do.
Yeah, coming here from Brady Denaburg on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here this morning. The depth chart comes out. Like you said, you put all your faith in God. You put in that hard work. You believe in yourself. This is what you came here for. When the depth chart is released and you see your name and you get to call your family and say, guess what? Because you're a family of athletes, right? I think there's like 72 of you. And so, but there's, being in this family of incredible athletes, obviously y'all push each other. When you knew like 100% I'm the starter, bring me into that moment, what you did, maybe just yourself in a room type of thing, like how you reflected, and then, when you made that phone call to home.
Yeah, I mean, I was smiling big ear to ear, I think ever since spring, I kind of knew that I was a starter, but definitely throughout the end of summer, and then it came into realization, started camp. I mean, I've been training like I was going to be starter for a while, but I think it really set in that I'm the guy. So
when did you make that phone call to home?
I think it was, I don't know, probably in the middle of the end of the spring ball, probably.
Yeah.
Because maybe during the summer, but I think really just at the end of the spring, I kind of knew.
And your family obviously is devout on coming out to the games. I've gotten to spend some time with them in the Dome. I don't think it's the right question to say, will they be at all of them, because Lord knows they travel, but just what that's like for you to look out in the stands and, see your family there and just how supportive your family is.
Yeah, it means a lot. I mean, to look up and be able to see your parents in the stands is just they're with you with everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, they're there just to support me, and they're just proud of me for who I am.
And before I let you go here with Brady Denaburg, you're voted a captain as well. So we get to see the captains of this team, and I love that there's offense, there's defense, but there is also special teams. There's a representative from special teams. You are representing all of special teams as a captain. That moment for you, bring me into how it happened, the process of the team just doing that determination, if you thought it was going to happen. Paint the picture and put us as, flies on the wall of when you found out you were a captain this season.
Yeah, I mean, I was suspecting me or another guy in our, Jack, get it. But, I think it was really surreal. Like, it was just so cool to know that they trust me and they have their confidence in me. So it's really, they voted on it, and, it was just something that again, all glory to God, I could not do without him. So.
Now, is it the whole team that's voting on this, or is it just like the special teams unit that votes on the captain to represent? How does it come about?
Yeah, just the guys that were on special teams will vote.
So you get it, like you said, you thought it was going to be you or Stonehouse. What's it like working with Jack Stonehouse coming in through the transfer portal? The punter's been a kind of a question mark for Syracuse the last couple seasons. What's it like having Stonehouse in the building?
It's a blessing. He's helped our room a lot, and just him coming into, like I said, him or me could have been that captain, and it's just everybody else knows that too. And he really is a guy that's going to help our team, and he's going to make us better. And he definitely helps me, just with his knowledge. He's going to help me punt, and I'm going to help him kick, and we're both going to get to know what each other do, and I'm going to help him, and he's going to help me. So,
for you, Brady, as we go into this season here, to be a captain and to be a leader, how would you define that? What does it mean to be a good captain?
I think lead by example is the biggest thing, and you're always going to have ups and downs, but I think that at the end of the day, it's about what you do after those, and just do the little things. When people aren't watching, what do you do?
And you and I spoke about Coach Ligg coming onto the team, and somebody who recruited you and came down to see you at Merritt Island. What's it been like working with Coach Ligg?
It's been amazing. I mean, he's pushed me to be a better kicker, a better person every day. He's always out there challenging me to do better. And I think that he is the reason why will be good this year.
Are you ready to start chasing some of those Nate Trout records?
Yeah.
that coming here from Brady Denaburg. And Brady, as always, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your faith. I appreciate your hard work and dedication and determination. And I look forward to, seeing everything that you're going to be doing this season. And, obviously it hits different when you do that, knowing you over the years here. So thank you for letting me, as I said before, be a part of the journey. It's been fun for me, and I am very excited, as always, to let people know kickers matter too. That's how I feel.
Thank you.
Absolutely. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life, and it is time to get into our NFL opportunity of fantasy football in focus. Fantasy football is back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I'm ecstatic. So, Greg said over under 5 touchdown passes for Brady in his SU career. Yeah, I mean, Nate said over. I'm going to say over, I think. I think he might have one this season. And what did I say a long time ago? I said Brady is a kicker who also played quarterback and could run in college. So, over under 0.5 touchdown passes for Brady. Oh, okay, 0.5. Yeah, I think Brady's going to have, he might have one this season. This season or next season. Have a touchdown pass. But going back to what I was saying, Brady Denaburg being a quarterback / kicker / running quarterback, when you look at that side of it, I said don't get it twisted that Syracuse is getting a talent who can be a part of those trick plays because he can throw the ball. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a play for him somewhere in his career where we're able to see this come to fruition, and I think it's going to happen. So, yeah, I'm going to keep with my prediction of 2 years ago, and say that I think that Brady Denaburg will be involved in a pass play and could be throwing a touchdown pass at some point in a time not too far away. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. I'm looking forward to the opportunity, and I hope it happens. And I always appreciate Brady joining the show, and I appreciate Nate Trout for helping to make all this possible. I mean, without Nate, he made the connection. He's the one that reached out to me. He told me about Brady. It was before Syracuse had offered him. He's like, I really think Syracuse should offer him. And, him and I spoke about it. We had Brady on the show to talk about before Syracuse even offered. And and then shortly after, the offer came from Syracuse, which was so awesome because, getting to talk to someone and telling them that you believe in them and you believe it's going to happen when you feel that. I felt that way about Daniel Booby Santiago from Utica Proctor up here, who went out and played in Arizona and during COVID, and then eventually ended up at Holy Cross, got a bunch of Division I FBS offers, chose to go FCS and to play with Holy Cross because it was the school whose coaching staff showed him the most love and was constantly there for him, and that matters to him because he's a good guy, and so is his family. So are the members of his family. So, I told Booby before he got his first offer that I believe it was coming, and he got it 8 days later. And with Brady Denaburg, it's the same thing. I was like, I believe it's coming. I believe he's going to be all right. And to see him get this opportunity, like I said, without Nate, none of this is possible. None of our Zoom conversations are possible. None of this, unfiltered access to Brady is possible. And it helped me build my connection to Brady in the beginning. So, I owe that to Nate, and I appreciate Nate so very much. He's become a good friend. My favorite kicker growing up of any sport, or I shouldn't say of any sport, my favorite kicker of any level, college, pro, whatever. And I mean, I still remember the day, and I told him this, but I was in the dome. I was sitting in the back left corner-ish. It's kind of like where I was sitting was, I think we were sitting long ways with my dad and I for the stretch of the field. And I was waiting to do it. I was like, should I do it? I don't know. And then I got up and I'm like, I'm not afraid. So I yelled out, I love you, Nate. And it got really quiet right when I was doing it. And I was like, oh, maybe he heard it. So, from being a kid and being a Nate Trout fan to being an adult and connecting with Nate, and Nate connecting me to the future of Syracuse in Brady Denaburg, I appreciate it. And Nate always coming through when I do broadcasts down in Florida. He's shown up for the past couple of years, and he's been by my side, and he's been supportive, and he's been awesome. So I want to thank Brady, but I also want to thank Nate for just being an incredible friend, a really good person. And I mean, the dude's always got my back. He's always genuinely been there for me, and I appreciate that. So that goes a long way with me. So shout out to Nate Trout, my favorite kicker. But I also like Brady a lot too. And so I'm excited. And Brady, it's so personal for me. Every time he was on kickoff this past season, paying more attention to kickoff because Brady's on the field and getting to meet his family, getting to meet his parents. It means a lot to me to be able to be around, Brady's family and his supporters, and to be around Brady. And so, having him on the show, that's a no-brainer. It's fun for me. It's exciting. And I want all the best for you, brother. So keep doing what you do. Stay humble, stay hungry, and let's go win some games and do some awesome things this season. Much appreciation. With that being said, it's time to jump into fantasy football in focus. That's what we're calling it now, fantasy football in focus, and we are totally in focus on the 2023-24 season. If you have fantasy football questions, send them along. So I'm putting out a message here on YouTube, and obviously we'll put one on Facebook. If you have fantasy football questions, send them over. Make sure you send them over ASAP so I can answer them as we go. We're going to be providing fantasy football advice all throughout the entire season. So it's going to be on every game, every single week. So we're not going to skip a game. We're not going to miss a game. If you got something that you'd like to talk about, shoot it over to us. And we're going to be doing things in order of Thursday night games to Sunday 1 o'clock, Sunday 4 o'clock, Sunday night, Monday night. So that'll be the order that it's in, which means you'll be able to pinpoint it if you're listening back after the show goes live and you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook, you're on our website on wakeupcalldt.com, and you're thinking, okay, well, how do I get to this portion of the show? Well, you just kind of go down the line and take a look at it, and I'll have the line next to me. I'll have, the games in order of when we're talking about them next to me. So, you can be able to see it while we're discussing it and say, oh, okay, so if Dan is talking about Cowboys Bucks right now, then that means coming up next is Jaguars Texans, and so on and so forth. So happy to help, happy to get the information out to you, and happy to answer your questions directly if you have any. So go ahead and shoot me those questions, and I have no problem whatsoever in reaching back out to you and answering these questions. So happy to help and happy to be there. And with that being said, we just had a bunch of drafts finish up. So we had our draft at the Wildcat Sports Pub for one of our Central New York Leagues, which calls the Wildcat Sports Pub our exclusive partner when it comes to fantasy football here in Central and Upstate New York. And down in Florida, we had our Hooters League of 13 years. So we drafted, and then I came back up here a couple days ago, literally flew in Monday morning, landed at 11:29 after waking up at 3:40 a.m., and that night had the West Genesee Marching Band broadcast, followed by the on-site draft at the Wildcat Sports Pub the day that I flew back in. So shout out to all my troopers that came out there and met me and had some fun. We had a great time, and there's a lot of great things that, you know, we have memory-wise when it comes to, you know, being able to do this. And when you look at the NFL this season, and really every season, it continues to look different, you know, in the sense of, obviously there's moves that happen. But as time goes on, and as some of these moves that you didn't anticipate or expect, right? You don't anticipate or expect that we're going to be where we are right now with Dalvin Cook not being the bell cow for Minnesota, and, you know, Derrick Henry almost not being the bell cow for Tennessee, and these moves that happen. Ezekiel Elliott, who signed that long extension, and what did I say to you? I said, in 2 years, Tony Pollard's going to take over. And at the 2-year mark, here Tony Pollard is taking over. And what was said to me last year, Dan, I don't think it's going to happen. Why? Because Tony Pollard, or what did they say? They said, Dan, they just extended Zeke. So if they just extended Zeke and gave him this big contract, he's still under contract for a bunch of more years, why do you think this is going to happen? Well, because as we know, contracts in the NFL are kind of like toilet paper, and the writing to me was just on the wall. So now we see exactly the change that I thought was coming, and now it's time for Tony Pollard to show himself and show that he could be an every down back. Covered him in college because he played for Memphis, who I've covered for the last decade at least, and you know, I think these Memphis running backs have been fantastic. So it's to me, this is a really exciting time for Tony Pollard. At the same time, we're in a situation now where Zeke is in New England, and maybe he's in there, and maybe he sticks, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's a free agent at some point during the season. Maybe he's not the dominant guy for that team. I'm not sold that Zeke is the end-all, be-all for New England. So, I mean, seeing these changes and seeing these things kind of morph over time has been really interesting. And now that we have the opportunity to take a look at this and kind of break it all down, I'm excited for what's coming up this season, and I'm excited for the drafts that we had. And, you know, I want to share with you the teams that I was able to put together here, get your thoughts on it. But here are my teams, unveiling my teams for fantasy football. I still have a couple more drafts to go, potentially here. But this is what my teams have looked like in the drafts that we've had. So going back to the first one that we did, I want to go back to this one here. So I had the 6th pick. And in this draft at the Wildcat Sports Pub, this is my team. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, Vikings. I'm going to go round 1 through 18. So this is in order of how I drafted. Jamar Chase, wide receiver, Bengals. Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars quarterback. Travis Etienne, running back of the Jaguars. Breece Hall, running back of the Jets. Evan Engram, tight end of the Jaguars. Kenneth Walker III, running back of the Seahawks. Isaiah Pacheco, running back of the Chiefs. Deontay Johnson, wide receiver of the Steelers. Michael Pittman Jr., who's been falling on draft boards, but I think he's the number 1 for Anthony Richardson. So Michael Pittman Jr. I drafted in round 10, wide receiver of the Colts. Round 11, Pat Freiermuth, tight end of the Steelers. George Pickens, wide receiver of the Steelers. First time I've ever drafted 4 Steelers in a draft. I'm pretty confident. Round 13, Alan Lazard, which is funny because he wears number 13, and it's my grandpa's lucky number. And my grandfather was a Packers fan and is up in heaven cheering on his Packers and maybe my Jaguars. So A lot of connections there with Alan Lazard, and he was a Jaguar practice squad guy. So there's a bunch of connections on why Alan Lazard should hopefully win a chip with me here with my grandpa watching over. So Alan Lazard, wide receiver, Jets in round 13. In round 14, my kicker, Young Ho Koo, the kicker of the Falcons. You know me, normally I don't draft kickers or defenses until the 17th and 18th rounds. This was a league that was doing all this stuff early, and I had not instituted my rule, so that's why. Because people would be like, Dan, you went against your rule? No, I just, we didn't institute it, so that's how that happened. Tyler Algier, running back of the Falcons in round 15. Round 16, Commanders defense and special teams. Round 17, my backup quarterback, Kenny Pickett, Steelers quarterback. And in round 18, I got Jerome Ford, the backup to Nick Chubb with the Browns, with Kareem Hunt no longer being on the team. So that is my first draft that I did, and that was at the Wildcat Sports Pub, our exclusive partner for our fantasy football here in Central and Upstate New York. What did Greg say? Can Pollard be the bell cow back for a 17-game season? Odds of Taylor being traded this season from the Colts. Okay, well, first and foremost, can Pollard be the bell cow? I believe that Pollard is going to be a pass-catching and rushing running back. So I believe Pollard can be 15 to 20 carries a game this season with some catches. That's what I would say. I think that we will see another running back help at times run the ball. I don't think Tony Pollard's going to have like 40 carries in a game or 30-something carries, and not like Jonathan Taylor over here. And then as far as Jonathan Taylor goes, odds of Taylor being traded this season, you know, it's really a weird situation because it's such a late time to even look at this, right? And my buddy's out there training Jonathan Taylor. DeAndre Smith used to be the running backs coach for Syracuse. So I mean, I feel like, feet to the fire right now, I feel like he's going to be a Colt this whole season. And we're going to like look back on this and some people will forget about it. And some people will be like, what the hell was this? So, I mean, I would say that Jonathan Taylor will probably play out the season on the Colts, in my opinion. Just because this was just like a really weird scenario. And, you know, I wonder why it kind of happened and at the time that it happened. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe it was for the Colts to show Jonathan Taylor that there wasn't a lot of suitors so that they can negotiate his contract down since running backs are being paid less. I don't know. The other what else do we get here? Since we're done with your draft and I still have a few to go, who are your LA top 3 late round? Oh, I'm guessing who are your top 3 late round sleeper picks? My top 3 late round sleeper picks. I like that question. So top 3 late round sleeper picks for fantasy football. I would say wide receiver Zay Flowers, because I think the league that Greg and I just drafted in at the Wildcat, they're super educated and they're super, super difficult to play against. And I think that, you know, in that reality, they obviously knew about Zay Flowers. So I think that, but I still think Zay is a late round. I think another one is running back Jerome Ford. I don't know if I'd put him as a top 3, but I think he's another one because of the fact that Nick Chubb's not going to do everything by himself. They don't have Dearness Johnson anymore. He's in Jacksonville. They don't have Kareem Hunt anymore either, who they got for like $12 in a Charms Blow Pop when he was originally suspended and let go from the Chiefs. So, I think definitely Zay Flowers. I would say this too. I think Kenny Pickett is another one. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Kenny Pickett. So I'm not necessarily a top 3, but I would say top late round sleeper picks. I definitely think if I had to do a top 3, Zay Flowers would be in it. But coming to mind right now, I'd say Zay Flowers, Jerome Ford, Kenny Pickett. All 3 guys I've picked up in cumulatively over my drafts here. So, I put my money where my mouth is. So I would say that. I would say another late rounder. It depends on where you are in a league, because I think more late round sleepers. I would say if you're not in Central New York, Gabe Davis might be another one. But I feel like he's kind of middle of the road. Like, people know him, but I feel like he's a sleeper, but he's not. And he, like, last year, yeah, the year before, yeah, when I was talking about him from UCF, yeah. But I think, like, right now, he's maybe, depending on where you are in the country, he could be a late round sleeper. But, if you're in Central and Upstate New York, somebody's drafting that dude, and maybe they're doing it high, which is awesome for him. Shout out and kudos to that. But yeah, I would say maybe Gabe Davis, depending on where you are. Other guys, I'm gonna pull up my sheet here to assist me a little bit better in breaking this down, because I think there's a good amount. Greg said Davis goes in the mid rounds in 12-team leagues. Yeah, so I feel like maybe he was one, but he's not now. I still think some people aren't sold on him, but I feel like, maybe he's not necessarily a sleeper anymore. If I had to pick, if I go quarterbacks, I think Kyle Trask is a sleeper. I think Kyle Trask for sure is. I think eventually he's going to get an opportunity this season with the Bucs. So I think he's a sleeper. I think Jordan Love could be a sleeper. Now, these guys are like your backup quarterbacks, but I still think that. I think tight end wise, I don't know why people sleep on this dude. I'm like the only one that drafts this guy, and I don't understand why, because Kenny Pickett likes him. But I think Pat Freiermuth, based on the fact that most people look over him, I think Freiermuth is a sleeper, tight end for the Steelers. I think another potential sleeper, depending on how he connects with Derek Carr, is Juwan Johnson, because Juwan Johnson, tight end for New Orleans, he did some good things, but there was 3 different quarterbacks throwing to him, so it was like up and down and around the corner. There was no like consistency, but there were times where he was the weapon, and I feel like he's one that I got to put on my list is Juwan Johnson, based on how he is with Derek Carr. Another sleeper that I would say, if we're looking at running backs, I think Gus Edwards is a sleeper, because I think that Lamar Jackson likes him, and fantasy owners don't. So I don't get that. I think Damian Harris is a sleeper because of the good things that he did in Buffalo, in New England, and now he's in Buffalo. I don't think James Cook is going to run it every single time. I think Damian Harris is going to get some third down opportunities. I think Damian Harris is going to get some goal line opportunities. I think he's going to score you some points. So I think that's another one. I think Tank Bigsby, who people have been drafting higher than I had him, so I wasn't able to get him, but I got him in this last one. And, Freiermuth definitely can rise to be a top 5 tight end, and I don't know why people don't draft him, but that's okay, because you leave him for me, and I'll gladly take him. I think another sleeper going through this list, if we switch from running back to wide receiver. You know what? No, I'm going to put another running back on this list. I got another guy. I think Tyler Algier is another one. I think Tyler Algier, because people just look at the Falcons and they're like, wow, that team stinks and this and that. I mean, Matt Bergeron's going to be blocking for them, and the offensive line, for people that didn't like it, maybe that offensive line is going to give you something better now. Maybe there's going to be a little more to be excited about with Matt Bergeron, my guy there from Canada. So I think Tyler Algier is another sleeper because they drafted Bijan Robinson and he's ranked so high. Wide receiver-wise, I would say, I put Zay Flowers on there already. I would say Michael Gallup, maybe. I got a feeling like, I was high on him earlier on and it's kind of died off. But I think Michael Gallup, this could be the year where maybe we see his best output. But again, it's like, what is Dak going to look like and what's Dak going to do this season? Because that obviously affects Michael Gallup. But I think he could have a breakout season. I think Kadarius Toney with Kansas City, because they don't have a dominant number one receiver. Right now it's their tight end Travis Kelce, and that's what it has been. So I think that I would put I would put Kadarius Toney on there. I'd put Allen Lazard on there, because Allen Lazard, again, Aaron Rodgers likes him. And Aaron Rodgers has come out and talked about wide receivers negatively, but he seems to like Lazard and like him enough for Lazard to sign a multi-year deal to come to the Jets. So I think that's, another part of it here too. I mean, obviously there's a connection there. I think once he comes back from suspension, there's a chance that Jamison Williams, with his speed and what he can do, that he could be a sleeper for Detroit at wide receiver. So yeah, I mean, that's what I would say. I mean, that's a pretty hefty list for you, but I think your late round sleepers at quarterback, Kyle Trask, quarterback Jordan Love, tight ends Pat Freiermuth and Juwan Johnson. I would say running backs Jerome Ford, as well as Kyle Trask, Jordan Love, Kenny Pickett as quarterback sleepers, Pat Freiermuth, Juwan Johnson as tight end sleepers. Running back sleepers, I would say Jerome Ford, Gus Edwards, Damian Harris, Tank Bigsby, Tyler Algier. And wide receiver sleepers, Michael Gallup, Kadarius Toney, Allen Lazard, Jamison Williams, all as sleepers, and Zay Flowers. So you got a bunch of sleepers there from me. I can tell you that now that I've done my 2 of my live drafts at the Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York, and that we went down and did year 13 of our Hooters League with my Wake Up Call Florida-based fantasy football squad. So I can tell you some of this stuff now. But yeah, I was sharing my teams, and I just shared with you who I had for the first Wildcat draft. The second Wildcat draft, I had the number 1 pick. Justin Jefferson I took again. I have Justin Jefferson in all 3 of my leagues. So, because I had the second pick down in Florida. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver of the Vikings. Josh Jacobs, who I like, and don't know why the Vegas Raiders didn't show him more love last year. But so I'm excited to see what he'll do this year. Josh Jacobs, running back of the Raiders, got in the second round at the bottom of it, because we do a snake draft, 1 to 12 in this case, 12 to 1. And then I got Jalen Waddle, wide receiver of the Dolphins. I got in round 4, Trevor Lawrence. I didn't think he was going to be coming back to me. The quarterbacks that were chosen at that time were Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, as well as Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson and Daniel Jones. So that's why I got Trevor Lawrence. Kyle Pitts, who normally somebody takes him higher. I got him in round 5, so I took him at that point. I needed a tight end, so I took a tight end there. I don't think I had to get a tight end at that point, but there were some tight ends off the board, and I didn't want to let him go past me again. I got J.K. Dobbins of the Ravens. Hopefully he'll stay healthy for me and for anybody out there that's got him, and for himself in reality above all. Christian Kirk of the Jaguars, wide receiver, wears my grandpa's lucky number 13. He's been on Wake Up Call numerous times in our On the Prowl series, which will continue this season. Kadarius Toney, who I just told you is a sleeper. I got him in round 8. I might have went a little bit too high on him, but this was a draft where we were taking a ton of guys, really, just like the early part of the draft, there was so many crossouts. Our wide receiver list was so slim that by round 8, it might as well been round 13 or 14. I took Delvin Cook of the Jets in round 9. Then Alan Lazard, got him again round 10. Round 11, I got Tank Bigsby, which I thought was good for this league, sleeper-wise. And then Jerome Ford in round 12, another sleeper. Damian Harris in round 13. So I went running backs 3 in a row from Bigsby to Ford to Harris, who are all guys that I put on my late round sleeper list that Greg just asked for. And I appreciate you asking for that, Greg, because it's a good topic. Round 14, because I'm the number 1 pick, I took another number 1 pick. As the number 1 overall pick of the fantasy football draft at the Wildcat this past Monday, I thought it was only fitting to take Bryce Young, who's this year's number 1 pick. And of course, I also took Trevor Lawrence, who is a number 1 overall pick as well. And ironically, and in a funny way, God kind of prognosticated and foreshadowed, because when I ordered food, they give you a random number, and they gave me number 1. And so I had number 1 on the table so that they could see it to bring my food over. And I ended up picking the number 1 overall pick. I let everybody pick in the hat before me so nobody could say I cheat. Not that I ever have. And so I let everybody pick out of the hat, and I picked last. And I got the number 1 overall pick, but I already had the number 1 for my food. So a little prognostication there. And then I felt like I needed to take Bryce Young after taking Trevor Lawrence to get my number 1 overall quarterbacks there from their respective drafts. Then I got Marvin Jones Jr., sad face. He's back with the Lions. Happy for my buddy Johnny. Sad for my Jaguars. Miss you, buddy. And then I got Deuce Vaughn, who's another potential late-round sleeper, running back of the Cowboys, who could be getting some looks when Tony Pollard needs a little spell. And then I never get to get this guy, but like my Florida League, these wonderful, wonderful players abided by my rule, and did not draft any kickers or defenses until the end. I have a rule that I instituted in my fantasy leagues. It's called a round for a round. So if you draft a tight end, or if you draft a defense or a kicker before the last 2 rounds, you will buy a round because of your round choice. So a round for a round. If you draft a kicker or a defense before rounds 17 and 18, our final 2 rounds of the Wake Up Call Fantasy Leagues, you have to buy a round of drinks for everyone at the table. So everybody abided by it, and thanks to math and the snake draft, the round 17 where you can get a kicker or a defense started with me, and I finally, for the first time in a long time, I think it's only happened one other time in the last 4 years, I got Justin Tucker, my favorite kicker of over a decade, the Ravens kicker, and the Mr. Irrelevant spot, which I don't like that name because I think it's mean, but the final pick of the draft, Jaguars defense and special teams, which I picked up after a bunch of the defenses were gone. So the Niners, the Bills, the Eagles, the Commanders, Steelers, Ravens, Saints, Dolphins, Panthers, and Giants were all gone. And so I went with my Jaguars defense and special teams and banked on all my guys, including the guys that have been on the show. And, of course, Syracuse alum Andre Cisco. So happy to do that and happy to bring him in. And then I went, I have another league that I did that I was talking about, the Florida-based league that we had at Hooters. And I want to read off that team to you. So I drafted, this was an 8-team league, 18 rounds. I had the second pick. I drafted in order Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, who I never get, and I love Mark Andrews, Najee Harris, who's definitely grown on me, DK Metcalf, for the first time ever, Deebo Samuel, because he could do a lot of things, Damian Pierce, the fantasy player for Houston as of right now, Isaiah Pacheco, who over the last 2 years has sold me that I thought, he is worth drafting, and, he was somebody that I just kind of kept off my list the last couple of years. Maybe thought about it a little bit last year. But this year I'm like, okay, you know what? I drafted him as my 4th running back, so not a bad bet. Trevor Lawrence, I was the only person to not draft a quarterback in the first 8 rounds, and I still got Trevor Lawrence around 9. which was at the top of round 9, second pick of round 9. George Pickens, speaking of picks. Zay Flowers, what up, Doe? A.J. Dillon, back-to-back 11 and 12th round Boston College Eagles, say word. Damian Harris. Then I got Marquise Hollywood Brown. Then I went with someone who has earned my respect. Not that he needed it by any stretch of the imagination, but he earned my respect. And because he earned my respect, I put him on my team as my backup quarterback because you give respect where it is due. Geno Smith added to my team round 15. Jordan Addison, who I covered at Pitt before he went to USC, and now he's a rookie for the Vikings at wide receiver. I got the Niners defense, and I got my Jaguars kicker, Brandon McManus, sad face that my other kicker, Riley Patterson, is not there. But life is interesting, and maybe we'll get to see Riley Patterson back. Hopefully not because of anything negative with Brandon McManus, but I'd love to see Riley Patterson come back and make it work. Greg said that our league that we just drafted on Monday at the Wildcat went tight end crazy. You ain't lying. 12-team legit savvy league. Yeah, the league is, we are cold-blooded killers in that league. We are just tough to play against. And, but I'm excited. It's going to be fun. And, this is our first fantasy football conversation of the season. And really only because we've been crazy busy with all the other topics and segments and things that that I've done here on the show. But fantasy football going to be coming to you every single Wednesday, again, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I love being here with you. I appreciate y'all so very much. When you have questions, send them over. We have answered questions from people all over the world. I always tell people, share with us where you're from. Send off your first name and tell me, what state you're watching and listening from, because I think that's cool. We had North Dakota, I think maybe Illinois or Iowa last year. So we got some cool stuff coming through. Happy to help you. But yeah, fantasy football advice, I'll have more of it after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. But now you've seen who I've drafted in my first 3 drafts. You've heard a bunch of advice on late round sleeper picks at quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, and running back. And if you have other questions or other topics you'd like to hear, bring it to us right after this.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks is the perfect place to go and take those fantasy players that you love and get their cards and bring them home. Why not do that? I have a Lamar Jackson rookie patch auto card that it's one of my favorite cards. It's awesome. I'm thinking about getting it graded. You can get your cards graded through GG Cards and Breaks. And of course, you can go there to buy graded cards, singles, packs, and boxes. 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Avenue. Fantasy football fans, NFL fans, NBA, MLB, whatever it be, when you're playing fantasy, you get into this, and then you might start loving a player that you didn't even know you would because they're not a part of your favorite team, right? And maybe you're a Mets fan, but you get a bunch of Dodgers on your fantasy baseball team. You start to fall in love with them, and then you want to go out there and you want to get a patch card. You want to get a rookie card of them, a little autograph. Head out to GG Cards and Breaks. It is the perfect place to bond fantasy, reality when it comes to the sports we love, as well as the hobby. Bring it all together at GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Avenue. And of course, you can go to ggcardsandbreaks.com. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us worldwide on Facebook.com and YouTube.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're connected to us, thank you so much for tuning in every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, including here on Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where we have the opportunity to bring to you our Fantasy Football in Focus, where we talk all things fantasy football and help you set your lineups, help you draft your players, all the good stuff. If you have a question, send it over to us and send it as soon as you can so we can answer it in real time. If for some reason you don't get to it in real time and you send it off to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt or facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as our social media, we will get to it as soon as we can, and we appreciate you sending it over. So if for some reason you're watching this video, if you don't get to watch it live and you're watching us on playback, then just know that I'll be more than happy to answer it as long as you respond to the specific video so I can see it. So make sure you respond to the video so I can give you my thoughts, and always happy to help. So much love and much appreciation to everybody out there when it comes to shooting off your messages. I love our fantasy football opportunities that we have here. So yeah, there's still some drafts going on. We don't have our first game until a week from tomorrow. So tomorrow is the 31st, which means that our first game is going to happen on September 7th, I believe. So for the NFL schedule, I believe it's September 7th. Yep, Thursday night, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, Lions at the Chiefs. So we got a little over a week here, so some drafts can still go through. Like I said, I got at least another one that's going to be popping off here. So if you need some help in your fantasy football drafts, your sleepers, I think whatever we can do to help, we'll be happy to do it. I think outside of sleepers, you look at some of these surprises here. There are some people that are total, I don't know if I would call it necessarily a surprise, but there are some people that are glazing over Deshaun Watson. He hasn't been drafted a lot. Anthony Richardson has been looked over. Matt Stafford, Jared Goff. Looking at quarterbacks, Kyler Murray, who is a top 4 or 5 quarterback. He's ranked outside of the top 20 now by some. Jimmy Garoppolo has been looked over in Vegas. As Brock Purdy's been drafted. Jordan Love's been looked over in Green Bay, and I put him as a sleeper. And then running back wise, I think the guys, people are high on Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, who got drafted in reality exactly where I had them getting picked in the 2023 NFL draft. So that was pretty cool. I think Jonathan Taylor's been a question mark, so he's dipped because people don't know where he's going to play. I think DeAndre Swift, he's dipped. People a little concerned of taking Brian Robinson Jr. or Antonio Gibson, both out of Washington. People apprehensive about taking Miami's Jeff Wilson Jr. as well. People not necessarily taking Zach Charbonnet until really late from the Seahawks, with Kenneth Walker III as the number 1 guy. Roschon Johnson from Chicago, he is getting drafted, but he is a question mark too. There's a lot of Chuba Hubbard's been overlooked by a lot. A lot of people from Carolina. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's fallen just right out of favor with dang near everybody when it comes to fantasy football. He's just inside of the top 60 when people anticipated he would be a top 10 or 15 guy. So that's obviously changed here. Zamir White in Vegas, who I think might do some things behind Josh Jacobs. He hasn't been drafted, so he's been looked over too. Wide receiver-wise, guys that I have seen in drafts get looked over. Jerry Jeudy, obviously, due to injury, but he's been looked over. Drake London has been looked over. He's been drafted, but it's kind of like a, there's no rah-rah with the drafting of Drake London. So he's one that I would say has been kind of looked over here. Rondale Moore in Arizona, any Arizona wide receiver, because people have just lost any hope for Kyler Murray recently here. Kadarius Toney, I drafted him, but people have looked him over as well. KJ Osborne, Minnesota, who played for Buffalo in college and then went to Miami. He's been looked over here. Chase Claypool, who went from Pitt to Chicago last year, he's been looked over. Van Jefferson, who had some moments with the Rams. People have drafted Cooper Kupp, and that was it from the Rams outside of maybe a Tyler Higbee. A lot of people have looked over Jamison Williams, Marquez Valdez-Scantling in Kansas City as well. So, those are guys too. Marvin Jones Jr., watching what he did for Jacksonville, I don't know why he's ranked. To me, I think it's really disrespectful. He's 78 on the ranking I'm looking at right now out of 90 wide receivers. Tight end wise, the last draft we did, so many tight ends were drafted. It was crazy, but it's because we took so many wide receivers and so quickly that it was like, all right, let me get a tight end. So, there are some. Jelani Woods from Indy hasn't been drafted in my leagues. Mike Gesicki, who was a good out for Tua, he's in New England now, and that's been quiet. Hunter Henry, nobody drafted him out of New England. Dawson Knox, people have forgotten about him, not in every draft, but in some, out of Buffalo. Trey McBride, who was the number one tight end taken last year, that's been a nothing from anybody taking him from Arizona. Austin Hooper, who is supposed to be this awesome guy coming in the league, now he's on his third team in Vegas, and he was not even a question. So there's definitely been some guys that people have not looked at here. Greg said, put you on the spot here. Who's your preseason fantasy MVP? I'm going to say Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. I would say that. I think McCaffrey's got a shot too. A breakout star. Breakout star. Preseason breakout star in fantasy football. I'm not going to pick somebody who had a big year last year because that doesn't make sense calling him breakout. Maybe Calvin Ridley from Jacksonville. Maybe Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. I would also say breakout fantasy star. It's tough. I could put Christian McCaffrey there too, but he had a pretty good season last year. A breakout would be, to me, someone who is a rookie or somebody who didn't have a big year last year. Maybe Kenneth Walker III. A fantasy rookie of the year. That is a tough one. Maybe Bijan Robinson out of Atlanta. I'd probably say, is there anybody I would put above Bijan? Well, I said I had Jahmyr Gibbs as a breakout. But I think it'd be Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs, but I also think Jahmyr could be a breakout star. I think Kenneth Walker III could be a breakout star. I think Calvin Ridley could be as well. And then I gave you my fantasy MVPs. I like the question. I really like the question. So I think that's cool, and I appreciate it very, very much so. And yeah, so those are my preseason fantasy MVPs, breakout stars, and fantasy rookie of the year. Preseason. We'll talk when we get into the season, get my thoughts on it, but that's where I am as of right now. So this has been our kickoff to Fantasy Football in Focus. We have discussed with you late round sleepers. I've shared with you how my drafts have gone and who I've drafted and when, so hopefully that maybe will help you out a little bit. And I just gave you my preseason fantasy MVP, preseason breakout player of the year, and preseason fantasy rookie of the year. So with that being said, I look forward to you being with us every single Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time for the Fantasy Football in Focus segment, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Make sure you head out there 7 days a week and go support the incredible team, wonderful food, and awesome experiences, as well as having your fantasy draft at the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And I want to thank them for everything that they always do with our drafts, our West Genesee shows, and everything that they put together. It means the world to me. So thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate you, and I cannot thank you enough. So God bless to each and everyone that's out there who is playing in fantasy. I hope you have a fantastic season, and I'll be with you all the way through to help you out and give you the best advice I possibly can. So, with that being said, thank you for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Facebook.com and YouTube.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, our live internet streaming radio. And of course, once the shows go live, you'll be able to catch them in the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. You can hang out with us on any one of these any day of the week, any time of the day, by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And of course, you can ask your Alexa and Google Home devices to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that for you as well. So make sure that you do that, and many thanks to everybody who has. I appreciate you very much. We want to thank our incredible partners, speaking of appreciation, for Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Great Lakes Honda City, GG Cards and Brakes, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Mother's Cupboard, PB&J's Lunchbox, and Avicoli's Canine Camp Dog Daycare. If I didn't say them, let me say them again. You can go and get my exclusive Sunday on site at Carvel DeWitt, and Wednesday is Sunday, folks. And what that means is, on Wednesdays, you get a buy one, get one Sunday. So you could go today to get the DT Dolphin and get a BOGO, a buy one, get one DT Dolphin if you head out there today. So make sure you do that. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you, and I appreciate that so very much, as always. So definitely make sure you head out there to get my DT Dolphin on site, on location at Carvel DeWitt, right down the road from Moyne College. It is mint chocolate chip, hot fudge, whipped cream and a cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream, exclusively at Carvel DeWitt, the longest standing Carvel franchise in the nation. And at Mother's Cupboard, you can get my sandwich, the Cuse McMother, 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. It is the bonding of sweet and savory. When you can't make up your mind, make it this. The Cuse McMother, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Cut it up and have it with some syrup. And make sure you go and try it today, as so many have. And I appreciate y'all for going and getting it. With that being said, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Moyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can check out your Dolphins like you did today on Wednesdays during Dolphin time. First and third Wednesday of each month, we bring you AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Second and fourth Wednesday, we bring you the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, alumni, future Dolphins, and administration. Check out all of our content with the Dolphins by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. And for more information on Lemoyne, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. As always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Check out your Bobcats every single month as we talk with student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the years in a unique and fun way, like having our honest challenge, our humbling challenge, so to speak. And the humbler challenge is when I got a bunch of the coaches together and we all played Jenga as well as gestures. You can go back and watch those fun videos doing something totally out of the ordinary and outside the box with a bunch of head coaches at any location is really, really cool. At Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, it's truly special. So you can watch the men's and women's soccer, the men's basketball, the baseball, and at the time, the esports coach all face off with me in gestures and Jenga. We had some fun with it, and I'm going to be resharing those as well. The Bobcat Buzz comes to you monthly with men's and women's soccer throughout the year, men's and women's basketball, as well as baseball, esports, and so many great things happening on campus for the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, a very unique place that I am truly honored to work with and bring a spotlight as they've never had before. You can check out your Bobcats by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. The Alfred University Saxons are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Mondays, you start off your week with Saxon Time. The Saxons coming to you on Mondays on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where you have the opportunity to hang out with your Saxons every single Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And that's on the first and third Monday of each month, bringing you Presidential Perspective with the president of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, and second and fourth Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, the Saxon Spotlight, as we get to share the opportunity to hang out with student athletes, coaches, as well as administration and alumni of Alfred University. You can check out all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. For more information, go to gosaxons.com, and as the website tells you, go Saxons. I want to thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I can't thank you enough. I want to give a big shout out to my Dolphin Dive guest, Mr. Jaro Zawislan, coming off of the historic first ever win for Moyne College as a Division I institution, and the historic first ever win for the women's soccer team at Moyne as a Division I program, as well as the first goal scored, the first goal assisted, the first game-winning goal. Big time shout out. We're going to be having an awesome conversation in Dolphin Dive with some student athletes coming up here very soon that were a part of that historic day. So I'm excited to share that as well. Big time thanks for Brady Denaburg sharing some time with me, the captain representing the entire special teams, one of 6 captains at Syracuse for 2023, and the place kicker who will be on kickoffs as well as field goals and extra points as a true sophomore, exactly where I thought he would be. And God bless, and I hope it only gets better from here for you, Brady, and your loved ones, and my guy, Nate Trout, who helped to put us together. So God bless on that. And a big time thanks to the Wildcat Sports Pub for bringing us Fantasy Football in Focus every Wednesday from here on out from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you stay safe. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X. I love that it's called X now, by the way. X at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _